Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have got sprint qualifying here in Azerbaijan. Very similar to qualifying like we had yesterday, but of course this qualifying decides the grid for the sprint race, which is happening later today. A little bit of a new format for the sprint weekends this year. We've got 6 of them, and the FIA have decided to change up the rules and the format to make it a little bit more exciting, and we'll see how it goes, really. It definitely is a lot more action in one weekend, 2 qualifying sessions, 2 races, rather than just the usual 1 qualifying session and 1 race. So that is, yeah, well, that is always great because the fans love to see action, we love to see action. Hello, Kiez. Nice to see you back. I suspect it's probably actually not too late right now, since it's, at least the time in Australia isn't too late, so that's good. Yeah, so we are 13 minutes away from qualifying beginning, and well, we had Leclerc put in a brilliant lap yesterday. I watched like a little analysis of what happened. Basically, Leclerc was just braking a whole lot later compared to Verstappen, trail braking into all of the corners, which is very high risk, high reward, because as we saw, if you do make a mistake in the braking zone, like Yuki Tsunoda, or like Pierre Gasly or Nick de Vries, then you do end up in the barriers. So Charles Leclerc was yeah, braking extremely late compared to Verstappen, and still being able to make the corner. So that was definitely well, brilliant from Charles Leclerc. We'll see if he can replicate it today, and we've got a couple of new little rules as well for the sprint format, which makes it a little bit more complicated. I think slightly unnecessary complicated, to be honest. But in the qualifying sessions today in Q1 and Q2, that they must use a fresh set of medium tires, and in Q3 they must use a fresh set of soft tires. So if you have an old set of soft tires that you did like 1 lap on, say you did an installation lap on a set of soft tires, you're not allowed to use them in sprint qualifying, because yeah, because the rule is that you have to use a fresh set, which is slightly strange. I'm not particularly sure why the FIA have said you have to use a fresh set, but you know, it is what it is. And maybe they'll realize that it isn't a good idea to enforce a fresh set, and we'll see that rule change for the future sprint weekends. We've got, I think, 5 more sprint weekends. So out of like the 23 races we have here this year, 6 of them will be sprint weekends, which pretty good. Maybe a better. I'm going to be so upset when Lando's McLaren has to sit in the garage in Q3. Yeah, that is true. So that's kind of what the issue is. Lando Norris, he hasn't got any fresh tires remaining, fresh sets of soft remaining, or maybe he has 1 set but he wants to use that in the actual race. I don't think he has any fresh sets of soft tires though, and that means if he does get into Q3 today, he cannot take part because he'll be breaking the rule of having to use a fresh set. Which is very unfortunate, to be honest. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to just see how it happens. Oh yeah, no, don't worry, Kez. It's totally cool. I mean, you are a moderator, so yeah, it's understandable. All right. Well, the other things to talk about in qualifying yesterday, Stroll in 9th position. He was 4/10 slower than Fernando Alonso. That was most of it was solely due to the fact that he had a DRS issue. His DRS wouldn't fully open up, and that is why he was. Yeah, that's why he was stuck. Well, that's why he's 4/10 slower than Fernando Alonso. Usually they're fairly close matched. Of course, Stroll is slightly slower in most cases, but 4/10 was a rather big gap, and most of that was down to DRS not opening properly. Yeah. 3 a.m. in Arkansas, USA. Just got done with finals. Been watching you for 2 years. Keep up the hard work. Well, very much do appreciate you watching me for 2 years. That is fantastic. I mean, I started properly commentating in 2021. So yeah, basically since the start of when I properly started commentating, and just got done with finals. That's brilliant. Yeah, I've got Yeah, well, that's great then. Your exams are over, you can relax. Yeah, I've got exams going on now. I've got my first exam on Tuesday. Lots to look forward to. Woohoo! How did I deal with the month-long F1 break? What did I do? I had holidays, so I was just meeting friends and doing stuff like that. Yeah. All right. 8 minutes now till qualifying begins, and we have got yeah, also the other thing that is different in these qualifying sessions is that the length of the qualifying sessions has been changed. So usually, like we did yesterday, Q1 is 18 minutes, Q2 is 15 minutes, and Q3 is 12 minutes. So they've switched it up now. So in today's qualifying sessions, we'll have Q1 be 12 minutes, Q2 be 10 minutes, and Q3 be 8 minutes. So yeah, that is slightly, well, that reduces the amount of time that the drivers have to, of course, set a lap. But since the rule is you're only allowed to use one set of fresh soft tires or fresh medium tires, the drivers won't be coming into the pits again. So they might come in to do a refuel, but maybe it'll be better off for them to just do put in some extra fuel and do a cool down lap instead. So we'll see what the teams decide to do, because definitely in the first 12-minute session, the teams will have time to do at least 2 laps. So they could come back into the garage, do some refueling, and then go back out again. Or they could put in fuel for 2 laps, 3 laps, and then the drivers just don't come into the pits and just stay out on track. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the teams decide to do, but we're not long now, 7 minutes till qualifying begins. And yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream, then be sure to hit the like button. Definitely does help out the channel. And yeah, we've got a couple of other people also doing commentary on F1, so yeah, the more likes the better, really. All right, what else have we got going on in qualifying? Well, the other thing is Alpine had a pretty horrible day yesterday. Gasly with a hydraulic fluid leak, and then the hydraulic fluid caught on fire, and then Ocon, of course, just not having a great qualifying, and then Gasly crashing into the barriers at Q1 again. They brought upgrades this weekend, so they're going to have to, well, we don't know if they have enough spare parts if Gasly makes another mistake, because, if Ocon makes another mistake, if either of them make another mistake, then we could see Alpine have to revert back to the old spec rather than the upgraded spec. But yeah, is this a sprint race? No, this is the sprint qualifying. The sprint race is in 5 hours time. Yeah, I hope I'm okay with modding. Oh no, we've actually not had that much spam recently, and I also have the chat up so I can mod while commentating, so don't worry about it. And yeah, lab reports are real fun. You know, writing up 5 pages about some experiment you did, really thrilling experience. I had to do a fair amount of that in the holidays as well. But you know, here we are. 5 minutes now till qualifying begins. I will take you through a lap of Baku just before we get going. Also, Haas down in 17th and 18th place, and the only reason they were down in 17th and 18th and not last was because Gasly and De Vries both had issues. If both of them didn't have issues, then it would be most likely both Haas drivers in 19th and 20th place. So yeah, Haas having a horrible weekend, really. They were doing kind of well before, but it seems everyone else has brought upgrade packages, kind of leapfrogged them in terms of performance, and now they're kind of stuck at the back of the field. Same can be said really for Alfa Romeo as well. They started off the season all right, maybe getting through into Q2 once or twice, but now their performance just seems to be dropping more and more, and who knows. Yeah. The Formula 1 post-race sprint show is at 4:30. Well, the sprint race is, I think, 2:30 to 3, or it's either 2 to 3. I will just check. Well, actually, yeah, me saying the time isn't helping because everyone's in different time zones. All right, let's check. So the sprint qualifying is a sprint race is from 2:30 to 3 o'clock for me. But basically that is in like 5 hours. Yeah, 5 hours basically. Yeah, as Calgar said. Why is it green flag? It's kind of a green flag because I haven't the qualifying hasn't started yet, so I've just put a green flag up because it's a default really. Yeah. All right. So yeah, 13-page lab report. That is horrible. Yeah, 5 pages. I got pretty lucky. They set a page limit so we don't write too much, which I'm quite glad about. But yeah, all right, 3 minutes now, so we'll go through a lap of Baku. So we of course have the absolutely monstrous 2.3 kilometer long straight, where the start finish line is. Going into turn number 1, the drivers brake around about the 100-meter mark, and yeah, it's a third, fourth gear, medium speed corner, just 90 degrees, kind of straightforward, like your bog standard corner really. It is not too difficult there because there aren't any bumps. That part of the circuit is quite smooth, but we do see the drivers get very, very close to the wall at the apex because the curb isn't very high, so the drivers can just go all over the apex, and yeah, but yeah, they get extremely close, and you got to be careful there because if you do a slight too much steering, you are into the barrier. And then the same for turn number 2 really. Turn number 2, you can kind of compromise your entry and get a very good exit out of there because you have got another straight and another DRS zone along with that, the second and the last DRS zone on the circuit, going through turn number 2 to 3. And then turn number 3 is where we saw quite a few incidents, and that's mainly because turn number 3 is just a tricky braking zone, completely blind, and you are going down there so quickly. Even if you overshoot your braking point by like 10-15 meters, you are either have to go down the escape road or just compromise your entry so much so that you basically screw over your lap. It's extremely difficult to nail that braking zone. That's why we saw Nick de Vries and Pierre Gasly, both drivers, just braking far too late and getting into incidents at turn number 3. Turn number 4, just another 90-degree corner. That's kind of the what it is in around Baku for the first sector, just 90-degree corners. Turn number 4, just another right-hander, and then you get through into turn number 5 and 6. This is where the change of direction, the stability of the car is extremely important, because turn number 5, it's a long corner, and then turn number 6 extremely sharp, and you've got to have a very quick change of direction in your car, and you've obviously got to have the stability for that as well. So the drivers make their way through turn 5 and 6. Through turn number 7, they removed the wall that was very close to turn number 7 where Nico Hulkenberg previously crashed. So yeah, now it's a bit more safe, and there's slightly less risk of cutting the curb there, but of course you will get a penalty if you cut it too much. And then you go through into turn 8, 9, 10, and 11. That's just the castle section, extremely tight, extremely narrow, but the driver, you just have to give full commitment there, because you can gain so much time. It is, yeah, it's definitely well worth the risk. How many laps are there in the sprint race? 17 laps. It's 100 kilometers long, so we have 17 laps of racing. Yeah. And then yeah, through the castle section you get through into turn number 12, just another 90-degree corner. And the thing is, at turn number 11 you have to really compromise your exit at turn number 11 to get a good exit out of 12, because after 12 you're pretty much flat out all the way to turn number 15. So there we go. All right, also qualifying has just started. We've got Albon, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Magnussen all coming out onto the track on medium tires as expected. All right, let's just make this map slightly bigger and then just push it up a little bit. All right. And yes, so just the final two corners on the circuit, turn 15 and turn 16, both of them downhill braking zones, locking up extremely easy at both of them. And we're just going to see how that goes, really. We've seen a couple of drivers just, get very close to the barriers on the exit at turn 15. We saw Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly both kiss the barriers. And yeah, you can get very close, but it's also a risky game to play. So we'll see how that goes for all the drivers now. They are all coming out onto the circuit for sprint qualifying session number 1. So the softs are... No, the mediums, the drivers can pick whichever tyres they want, and they can do a pit stop if they want. It's all up to them, basically. They can start on the softs, they can start on the mediums. They don't have to do a pit stop, or they do have to do... Oh, yeah, they can choose, basically. So that's a sprint race. Right now it is sprint qualifying, and we have the drivers out on track. Only 10 minutes left of the session already, as this session is only 12 minutes long. And yeah. All right. When will I do a face reveal? I don't think I'll do a face reveal. I don't think it really contributes much to the commentary, and I'm not particularly keen about like sharing my face on the internet either. So I probably won't do one. But who knows? Maybe like if the channel blows up into something ridiculous, or if I like go to do commentary for like Sky Sports or something, you know, maybe I'll do a face reveal then. But anyway, back to the stream now. We have got Alex Albon, Logan Sargent starting their laps. Albon as well nearly made his way through into Q3 yesterday, but did get blocked by traffic, and that's another issue around this circuit. It is a 6-kilometer long track, which is pretty long by Formula 1 standards, but the issue is with 20 cars out there, and you've got so many blind corners, because there are buildings everywhere. It's a street circuit, of course, and you've got walls, barriers, and everything. You can't see around the next corner, and that makes managing traffic for the drivers very difficult because they can't see anyone in their mirrors and they can't see anyone ahead of them. So the drivers are completely relying on their engineers to point out traffic behind them and tell them to get out the way. And yeah, well, the engineers have a lot to do, and sometimes they do get overloaded, make some mistakes here and there, and yeah, same thing can be said for the drivers as well. So they've definitely got to be watching out for traffic as Sainz and Leclerc round out turn number 14. Oh, we've already got a yellow flag. All right, it looks like it's Oscar Piastri this time once again at turn number 3. We have had Oscar Piastri. By the looks of it, yep, Oscar Piastri has crashed at turn number 3. Let me just put out the yellow flag on the screen. But can we get an F in the chat for Oscar Piastri? I don't think he's moving anytime soon. He is very much stuck on the GPS map. And there we go. Mandatory... one of our mandatory yellow flags that we get, and potentially... Is he moving? Well, I guess we'll just have to find out. Yeah, see, where I watched the F1 race, it's slightly delayed. It's delayed by 1 minute and 45 seconds. So, oh, Oscar Piastri was fine. He reversed out the barrier. I don't think he hit the barrier. I'm not particularly sure, basically. He either went down the escape road or hit the barrier, but he's got going again. It's turned from a yellow flag back to a green flag, not a red flag. So, qualifying still continues, and Kevin Magnussen crossed the line, 141 or 144.8. And we've got De Vries 148. Yeah, so everyone's setting kind of slow lap times, because the thing is, usually we are on the medium tire. Usually the drivers are on the soft tires. It only takes a lap to warm them up. But when you are on the mediums, it definitely takes significantly longer to warm those tires up, and the drivers may be just doing a double warm-up lap, not attacking as much on the first lap to try and just get those tires up into the correct window before they go on a proper push lap. Yeah, turn 3 is very much a graveyard. Yeah, that's true. By the looks of it, Oscar Piastri has damaged his car somewhat, and he is driving very, very slowly around the circuit. So yeah, okie dokie. Everyone else is now setting their lap times. We had a couple of drivers get their laps screwed by, of course, the yellow flag that was caused by Oscar Piastri, so they're going for another lap. But But yeah, as the representative times keep coming through, we have Sergio Perez as a 144.5, 2/10 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. But this, yeah, everyone's on medium tires, so we're seeing a little bit more representative of what we would see in race conditions rather than in qualifying conditions. But Leclerc crosses the timesheet 2/10 ahead of Max Verstappen, 1 full second ahead of Sergio Perez. It looks like the Ferraris really got those tires switched on early on, and yeah, really went for it. I mean, Leclerc it's just ridiculous that lap, 1 full second faster than his teammate. I suspect they must be on different strategies, because you never really see a 1 second gap between teammates. But yeah, okie dokie. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. Definitely does help out the channel. If you are enjoying as well, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. I do commentate for all of the qualifying and all of the qualifying session, all the races, as I will be in 5 hours time for the sprint race. All right. So everyone else now just lapping around the circuit. We've got Piastri, Stroll, Alonso, Bottas, and Ocon yet to complete a lap. But yeah, we've now got Stroll coming across the line. So is Alonso, and let's see what they can do. Alonso crosses the line third, 1 full second behind Leclerc, and then Stroll crosses the line, goes marginally ahead of Fernando Alonso by 17 milliseconds. So the two Aston Martin drivers very closely matched. Okie dokes. We have another yellow flag. This might be just a temporary little one. Oh no, Nick de Vries at turn number 3 is stopped. Now I don't know if he's in the barrier or if he has crashed, but I know he has stopped at turn number 3. So the yellow flag is once again flying. And will he be out? Ooh, that's a bit. Nick de Vries is once again moving, so we do have green flag conditions. It seems like he just went down the escape road, because yeah, well, if you miss your braking point, it's much better to go down the escape road and cause the yellow flag than it is to crash a car. So seems reasonable there from Nick de Vries going down the escape road. Alex Albon crosses the line, puts himself up into 3rd place, 6/10 behind Charles Leclerc. Logan Sargent as well crosses the line, 6/10 behind Charles, 7/10 behind Charles Leclerc. But both Williams drivers up in 3rd and 4th position. Their car is extremely quick this in qualifying. They are very quick in a straight line, of course, as the Williams traditionally has been for the past 8 years now, and we'll see where they end up in today's qualifying session. We've got Hamilton with a purple first sector, but absolute, loads of traffic all around him. And we'll see how he manages with that. But he's coming up on Bottas and de Vries. Looks like he may get. He's coming up on de Vries. Yeah, he gets de Vries is out of the way. He's definitely driving very, very slowly indeed. And Hamilton may get a little bit of a tow from Valtteri Bottas on the end of his lap. But Hamilton's purple sector has now been taken away by Charles Leclerc, who's got a purple first sector. And we've got Hamilton now charging his way down the finish line. Looks like he's got a bit of a tow from Valtteri Bottas, and as Hamilton does cross the line, he goes up into 2nd position, slightly ahead of Max Verstappen. The times are indeed tumbling, and it looks like track evolution is pretty key. Charles Leclerc, 2 purple sectors. He's right behind Max Verstappen. Looks like he might even get a bit of a tow off him coming down the start-finish straight. But as DRS opens, the Red Bull does have a 7 to 8 kilometer straight line advantage. And coming to the line, Verstappen goes into first temporarily, and now here comes Charles Leclerc. He crosses the line, 3 purple sectors, half a second faster than Max Verstappen, and up into provisional first position. All right, Pierre Gasly is into the pits. So I think, well, unless he comes out of the pits in like the next 10 seconds, that will be Pierre Gasly's session over. Yeah, because he's got to make it around for another outlap before he can actually start a timed lap, and it does not seem he is going to make that out. We've got 2 minutes left of the session, and currently Charles Leclerc is top of the timesheets. down in the elimination zone, we've got Lando Norris. He's currently on a lap, in fact, and as I say that, Lando Norris puts himself up into 7th position. Yeah, track evolution, very key. We're seeing times improve so much compared to the start of the session. The fastest times are 2 full seconds faster, and yeah, the drivers don't get 2 seconds faster over the course of the session, the track does, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. All right. What else have we got going on? We have now Stroll, Piastri on hot laps. Yeah, here comes Stroll and Bottas, in fact, to the start-finish line. Bottas starting his flying lap. Now with 1 minute left on the clock. Stroll crosses the line, puts himself up into 8th position. Should be safe from the elimination zone from there. Oscar Piastri crosses the line into 13th. That's still very much at risk. Esteban Ocon, who is now coming across the line to start another flying lap. He's had a bit of a cool down. We have Nick de Vries next. And he is once again starting a lap. We got 30 seconds left now. Everyone just going around and starting their flying laps. Okie dokes. Can you explain what a shootout sprint is? Basically, it's just qualifying. I don't know why they called it a sprint shootout. It's literally just sprint qualifying. But yeah, that's it's just qualifying, but for the sprint race instead. Also, we do have a red flag. Logan Sargent has crashed between turn number 15 and 16, and we have a red flag out on the circuit. I will try and find out exactly how that crash happened. But it looks like there was a fair amount of traffic, and Logan Sargent either in the barrier due to traffic or some sort of incident. Because I mean, between turn number 15 and 16, there isn't. He definitely could have hit the barrier on the exit of 15. We've seen a couple of other drivers do that. I think Ocon, Tsunoda both kissed the barriers in yesterday's qualifying session, so Logan Sargent may have hit the barriers in going into there. But yeah, as of yet, I will find out in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Because, yeah, of course, where I'm watching the stream is delayed slightly. All right. So let's see what has happened to Logan Sargent. Ooh, but yeah, I don't think the FAA are going to restart the session. With only 25 seconds left on the clock, nobody's going to be able to go around and do another flying lap. So it looks like the elimination zone for today's SQ1 technically, or just Q1, was the drivers in the elimination zone are Guan Yu Zhou, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, and Nick de Vries. Yeah, Bottas was on a flying lap, kind of got screwed over there, and that's just what happened, really. Just a look of Formula One. I mean, that's the thing. That's a trade-off that you have to make. Either you go out first and you set your lap with no chance of getting a red flag or with no chance of a yellow flag screwing you over. If a red flag happens, you do have to pull into the pits. But yeah, that's kind of a little risk you have to take depending on when you do your lap. If you do your lap as late as possible, we could see I forgot exactly what I was going to say. All right. Yeah, Dreco 1321. That is exactly what the format is. So yesterday's qualifying is for Sunday's race, and today's qualifying is for today's race. All right. It looks like, yeah, we will just move on to Q2. Yeah, so Logan Sargent just got a replay of his crash. He just went too hot into turn number 15, got a little bit of oversteer. His right rear tyre smashed into the wall. His suspension completely broke apart, and there's debris all over the circuit, including just a tire, just like a wheel, like a wheel hub and a tire just rolling around. So yeah, that's why we have the red flag. Logan Sargent, of course, crashing, but we will probably move on to Q2 very shortly. And yeah, Valtteri Bottas's car has been pulled up to the weighbridge, where he's getting his car weighed in case they are running it under weight. But yeah, I suspect Alfa Romeo aren't doing anything like that. Just joined. Care to give a short recap from the start? Well, there hasn't been that much happening really. We've just had Q1 start, and everyone's went out on medium tires as per the FIA's rules, and they've just done their flying laps really. Charles Leclerc in first position, half a second ahead of Verstappen. Admittedly, I don't think Verstappen and Hamilton were going maximum attack in these sort of conditions, but nevertheless, Charles Leclerc up ahead, and then we had Logan Sargent crash into the barrier at turn number 15. So that's what's happened there. Yeah, Logan is very much out of the sprint race. Well, actually, he's still in 11th place, so he'll make it through into Q2 and then start in 15th place. Obviously, yeah, it would have been ideal for him to get through into Q3. The Williams definitely had the pace. Albon was blocked yesterday. I don't know by who, I forgot, but he was blocked. Otherwise, he would have made it through into Q3. And the same, well, if Albon can make it through into Q3, so can Logan Sargent. And yeah, bit unfortunate, but that's kind of how the way these things happen, really. He did make a mistake, so I guess that's the price he has to pay. When does Q2 start? Q2 will start approximately in 5 minutes, I think. 5 minutes. Yeah, usually there's a 7-minute. Yeah, it was Sainz that blocked him. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, there's 7 minutes between the qualifying sessions. And we've had about 3 minutes now, so it won't be long before we get Q2 beginning. All right. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. That very much would be appreciated. All right. So let's get back to the session. Well, in fact, what can we can compare all. We're still under red flag conditions, but let's see. Can we compare anyone's time? Yeah. So if we look at the thing, any bit where it's red, that is where Leclerc is faster, and any bit that is blue, Verstappen's faster. So in the first and third sectors, we have Leclerc going faster. In the middle sector, we got Verstappen, and I think that's quite accurate of what's happening, really. I think what's happened here, how Leclerc did outqualify Max Verstappen. Of course, Leclerc did a brilliant lap, but I think Ferrari have also set up their car in a way that is a little bit more qualifying oriented, because you can set up your car for qualifying, have slightly lower downforce, have worse tire wear, but be quicker over the course of one lap. Or you can put on a little bit more downforce, be slow in a straight line, but have better tire wear and like less tire wear, of course. And be quicker over the entire course of a race. So those are the two options that you kind of really have, and it looks like Ferrari have gone for we're going to be quick in qualifying and we're going to be slow in the race, because when you do need the more downforce going through the middle sector, Max Verstappen is quicker. So it seems like Red Bull have put on a little bit more downforce at the cost of straight line speed and one lap performance. Just to have a better race car rather than a better qualifying car. So Leclerc may well get pole position today as well. But the issue is going to be that he may suffer in the race with worse tire wear, and yeah, that's definitely not going to be great, is it? Maybe he'll have to start the sprint race on medium tires rather than soft tires, let's say. who knows? Who knows? Thomas Lord asks, when are you going to make a vlog channel? Well, I don't have that much to vlog really. I did go on a couple of like long bike rides. They were quite nice. But I kind of live in the UK and the weather is mostly garbage. So going outside and living life isn't you know, a thing that we really do here. Yeah, we'll see. 3 minutes till Q2 begins. So yeah, we had a little bit of a delay because they have to obviously pick up all of the debris off the circuit, pick up the car as well, take it back to the garage, and yeah. But Q2 will start very shortly now. Let me just change what's up on screen. There we go, Q2. Just joined in. What have I missed? You have missed a red flag caused by Logan Sargent, and that's about it really. The session will restart, and thing is now Q2 is going to be 10 minutes long. This is the shortest qualifying session we've ever had in Formula One. Usually, of course, Q3 is usually 12 minutes long, but now we have a 10-minute long qualifying session. So all of the drivers now lined up at the end of the pit lane to try and, well, get out on the track as soon as possible, setting a lap before anyone makes a yellow flag or sets off another red flag. So all the drivers are getting ready to queue up at the end of the pit lane. The mechanics as well, just getting the drivers out into the correct places, and yeah. All right. Let's see. What is my favorite meal? To be honest, I don't know. I'd say pizza's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, what happened with Gasly? Gasly had some sort of issue. I don't know, the Alpine team just brought him into the garage and then he didn't go out again. So I'm not sure what issue that Gasly did have, but he is out of, yeah, he had some sort of issue and then didn't go back out onto the circuit. And yeah, that's what happened there. Why is there a red flag? There's a red flag because Logan Sargent crashed at turn number 15. Yeah. Thing is now, Logan Sargent's crashed and the mechanics are going to have to repair the entire right rear suspension and everything in like the next 5 hours or so. Q2 has just begun. The red flag is gone and we've got the green flag now. But yeah, Logan Sargent's mechanics and everything are gonna have to work a whole bunch of overtime to try and catch up and get these get the car ready for the end of the for the start of the sprint race, sorry. Yeah. Cheers from Italy, mate. Forza Ferrari, indeed. Indeed, Forza Ferrari. Alright. So everyone's back out onto the circuit on medium tires, of course. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. We've only got 15 cars on the circuit now, so less chance of incidents occurring, less chance of getting blocked by traffic, and yeah. Also, Lewis Hamilton just came over the radio. Well, this was slightly earlier, but Lewis Hamilton came over the radio and asked someone to get rid of his visor tear off. So if you guys, well, I think this happened quite often, but if you guys don't know, basically on the driver's helmets, they have different, like, they can let in a certain amount of light. Basically, they've got kind of like sunglasses on their helmet visors. So say if it's really sunny, they can put on like a sunglass layer and it's not as bright in their eyes and they can see the track properly. Sometimes you need to get rid of that. And that's exactly what Lewis Hamilton did. He tore it off. But then, of course, when he tore it off, he couldn't throw it anywhere because he has to put it somewhere, right? He can either store it inside in his cockpit, but that's kind of like uncomfortable. You haven't really got much space in the cockpit, let alone add in like more rubbish from your helmet visor. So he asked one of the people on the pit crew to pick it up for him. So yeah, we'll see how. Yeah, just a little update really, if you guys didn't know about how the helmet visor system works, because of course in night races as well, when it goes from because the drivers, they'll be in practice sessions, it'll be the day, and then at the race it'll be, or in qualifying it'll be night conditions, and they have to have different brightness levels for their visors and stuff, which is quite interesting. But yeah, all right, let's get back. Oh yeah, hopefully Aston have fixed their DRS. They were repairing it in fact before Q1 started, so we'll see how that works out for them. They probably have fixed it, because they did have an entire day to diagnose the issue. And yeah, we do have a yellow flag. Nico Hulkenberg stopped at turn number 7, that is, and we'll see. I think he might have just like, yeah, I don't think you can crash that much at turn number 7, so we will just see Nico Hulkenberg get going again. But we are in yellow flag conditions due to that incident, and anyone behind him is going to have to drive slowly through there, and that is going to compromise everyone's time. And as I say that, we have had Nico Hulkenberg start moving again. We're back to green flag conditions. Verstappen crosses a line at 142.4, that is 0.4 faster than Leclerc's previous attempt in Q1, but Leclerc is still yet to respond. We've got a purple first sector from Leclerc, faster than Verstappen by about 0.5, and now going through the middle sector. Maybe he was slightly held up by Hulkenberg's yellow flag. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see once he crosses the second sector line what his time is looking like. And yeah, in fact, here he comes now through the second sector, and we've got Charles Leclerc green through the second sector. In fact, so this is Charles Leclerc's lap really. Anywhere that is green, it's a personal best. Anywhere where it's purple, it is fastest out of anyone. And Charles Leclerc is going green everywhere, but it does not look like he's setting many purple sectors. Most of it has just mostly been green. As I say that, he just goes and sets purple sectors everywhere. Looks like he's got a bit of a tow from the McLaren ahead of him, and there he goes, crosses the line into second position, behind Max Verstappen by about half a second nearly now. So Leclerc set the exact same 142.8 that he did in Q1, and Verstappen has leapfrogged him by about a full second, where Verstappen was originally half a second behind Verstappen. Well, Verstappen was half a second behind Leclerc, and now he is half a second ahead of him. Leclerc did definitely have a lot of traffic. Of course, that helped him out down the back straight where he had Lando Norris as a bit of a tow. But yeah, nevertheless, still not ideal there for the Monegasque driver. And yeah, Nico Hulkenberg at turn number 7, all he did was just brake a bit too late. Didn't hit the barriers or anything, but he did have to select reverse in Formula 1 cars, which is pretty tricky, to be honest, because the car is definitely not designed to go into reverse very often or whatsoever. And yeah. All right. So we've got 14 drivers out on the circuit. Logan Sargent, of course, after his incident, will not be coming back onto the track. And with now just under 4 minutes left to go, we have got everyone going to do a cooldown lap by the looks of it. I mean, looking at how closely packed Hamilton, Perez, and Russell are, Verstappen's into the pits with 3 minutes left on the clock. So it looks like Verstappen's going to do a quick refuel and then go back out onto the track. Or maybe he just won't do another lap. Because the thing is, the drivers and the teams are very limited on the number of tyres they have. They have to use a fresh set of tyres. So say Verstappen's only done 2 laps on those medium tyres, and if he wants to use medium tyres in his race, because it's the faster strategy, it's better to do only 2 laps on the mediums than to do 5 in today's qualifying session. And we know that Verstappen's basically made it through. There's no chance he's getting knocked out. So he might as well just go sit in the garage and just not wear out his tires any more than he has to. So that looks to be what Red Bull is doing. Maybe he'll get a quick refuel and come back out. but we're still yet to see that. All right. So yeah, Charles Leclerc as well, after his out lap. Well, this might be his in lap, or maybe he's continuing. We will have to see. It looks like he's continuing actually, and we have another yellow flag this time. This time, who has caused it? Oh no, it's gone back straight to a clean. So it looks like someone must have just slowed down way too much or spun. But we've got awful lot of traffic there through the middle sector. We've got Alonso. God, I can't even see everyone's name. Alonso, Norris, Piastri, Albon. All like bunched up there. I'm not sure exactly why they're doing that, to be honest. Yeah, they're kind of just getting in each other's way. Luckily, there's no one behind them setting a fast lap. Well, as I say that, Charles Leclerc is coming up, is approaching all of them. And yeah, they're going to have to get out of the way quickly, otherwise Leclerc will... they're going to block Leclerc and then get a grid penalty. So Leclerc on a purple first sector, 10th faster than Max Verstappen. But we've got a whole bunch of traffic for him waiting on the exit of the middle sector. And Oscar Piastri just gets out of the way in time. Alex Albon as well, backing out of the corner so Leclerc can get through nicely. And the other drivers have picked up the pace and spread themselves out. Nico Hülkenberg makes his way through out of turn number 15 as well. And that is... now a clear circuit for Charles Leclerc. All right, green through the middle sector for Charles Leclerc, and we'll see what he can do going down the start-finish straight. Now, everyone else is starting their final flying laps. We've got a minute 15 left on the clock. A yellow flag has been caused. It looks like Carlos Sainz has stopped at turn number 15. Turn number 15, we saw Logan Sargent crash there before, and now has Sainz been caught out by the downhill braking zone of 15. Looks like he is fine. He is just continuing on slowly. He went down the escape road. But yeah, very tricky there. Okay, so Charles Leclerc across the line, improves his time, doesn't go ahead of Verstappen, but it is now significantly closer than he was before. It's dropped from 4/10 to 1/10 now. This is Q2 of the sprint qualifying. Yeah, with now 30 seconds left on the clock. Everyone now just coming around to start their final flying laps. I don't know exactly what Sainz is going to do. Is he going to stay out? By the looks of it, he is going to stay out and maybe try another attempt. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if he does improve. But here we go then. George Russell coming across the line. He has got 10 seconds to come across the line. I think he's going to make it. And the same can be said for Kevin Magnussen. Both going right at the end of the session, trying to make it through. In fact, Magnussen comes into the pits. And that is him knocked out of the session. He is in 13th position, not being able to make it through. Yeah. All right, so now this is Hamilton on his flying lap, currently in 6th position, not at risk of being eliminated, but might as well improve his lap time while he's out there. What is he going to do? Is he going to pull into the pits because there's no risk of him getting eliminated? No, he is not. He comes across the line, puts himself up into 5th position, slightly ahead of Carlos Sainz, slightly behind Fernando Alonso. And here comes now Esteban Ocon. He pulls himself into the pit lane. Lando Norris crosses the line. He is in 8th position and stays in 8th position. Nico Hülkenberg, who's currently in 14th, puts himself up into 11th, so close to getting out of Q2, and Alex Albon crosses the line into 7th position, firmly into Q3. Oscar Piastri crosses the line into 10th. Both McLarens into Q3, unless Lance Stroll has anything to say about it. And it looks like Fernando Alonso is giving Lance Stroll a mega tow, perfectly timed there by the Aston Martin team. And Lance Stroll gets a bit of a tow there off Fernando Alonso and puts himself up into 7th, pushing Oscar Piastri into 11th place. And Carlos Sainz crosses the line, puts himself up into 3rd place. Brilliant job from him as well. But once again, we're seeing this 4/10 gap between Leclerc and Sainz, and that is not the typical stuff that we usually see. All right, so both McLarens were previously through. Now it's just Lando Norris. So the drivers that have been eliminated from Q2 are Oscar Piastri, Nico Hülkenberg, Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. All right, who will occupy 10th place instead of Norris? Norris is going to be in 10th place. He's just not going to go out onto the track because the rules say that in this third Q3 session, you must go out on a fresh set of soft tires, and the keyword being there fresh, like brand new tires, not been used previously, and Lando Norris hasn't got any more of them left. The tire allocation from Pirelli, he has got no fresh sets of soft tires, so that means he will not be able to take part in Q3, which is extremely unfortunate for him. But yeah, maybe the FIA will change these rules, because it's a bit arbitrary to have him not be able to go out because he hasn't got a fresh set, but it's a bit strange, you know. Will this affect tomorrow's positions? No, it will not. So this is only deciding the sprint race grid positions for the sprint race that is happening in 4 hours, 5 hours from now, and the sprint race no longer decides the starting grid for the actual race. That was decided by yesterday's qualifying. So that is that. Why doesn't he have a fresh set of tires? Because he used them all in qualifying yesterday. So there were some red flags and stuff, and Lando Norris basically had his lap aborted, not through his choice. And yeah, because of that aborted lap, he had to go back into the pits, put on a different set of tires, and he used up all of his soft tires. What was the point of yesterday? The point of yesterday was to decide the grid for the race on Sunday. Yeah, to set the positions for the main race. All right, we will have Q3 starting in I think it's 7 minutes or so. That's the usual time delay that we have between qualifying sessions. And yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. Definitely does help out the channel very, very much. And yeah, if you're not subscribed, then be sure to subscribe already. Okie dokie then. So we are having Q3 start in a couple of minutes now. Let me know what your predictions are. Who do you think is going to get pole position for the sprint race today? And yeah, do fans like this format? Well, the thing is, the people that have come over to watch the Baku Grand Prix, they get a whole lot more action than usual. So they get more racing, more qualifying, and that's always more exciting. So the fans definitely do enjoy it. But you've also got to consider they're like adding more races and adding more qualifying sessions. That has a lot more impacts on the sport as a whole. Like the teams are going to have. Can someone explain to me why there are 2 qualifiers this weekend? Okay, so I'm going to, I appreciate that most of you, some of you know what's going on, but I think there's quite a lot of you that are still confused, so I'll try and do a quick explanation of what is happening. So yesterday was Friday, we had FP1, and then after FP1 we had qualifying. That was the normal qualifying that decides the positions for the race on Sunday. And then today we have the second qualifying that is deciding the positions for the sprint race that is also happening today. So Saturday is basically just a sprint day. Saturday is sprint qualifying and the sprint race, and the sprint race has no impact on the race tomorrow. So say if you finish the race in 20th in the sprint race because you DNF'd, that doesn't affect where you start in the actual race on Sunday like it did in previous years. And then the race on Sunday is, of course, the starting grid positions are decided by the qualifying session that happened yesterday. So that's the new format basically. So Friday is practice plus qualifying. Saturday is just sprint quali, sprint race, and Sunday is the actual race. All right, Q3 will be starting very, very shortly now, and only 8 minutes on the clock now. So this is once again the shortest qualifying session we've ever had. and the drivers will have time for about, I'd say, 2 laps maybe. Like, they'd have to go out and just stay out on track, because there's no chance that they're going to be able to come back in and go back out again. It's going to be extremely difficult. And also the sprint race as well, it is, so the driver in first position gets 8 points, the driver in second position gets 7 points, driver in third position gets 6 points, and so on and so forth, all the way to the driver in 8th place will get 1 point. So that's the point system for the sprint race. But here we go then. Q3 has begun. The drivers are back out onto the circuit. We've got Sergio Perez leading the way. And the drivers are out on soft tires now, as mandated by the rules. So this is it then, the drivers coming out onto the circuit, all of them just weaving around, getting those brake temperatures up. Also, another thing to consider here, brake temperatures are extremely difficult to manage at this circuit. We see, because of this long straight that they have 2.3 kilometers of basically flat out, like all maximum throttle basically. And the issue with that is that the drivers, well, not the drivers, the brakes, even if they are if they've cooled down to say, the drivers warm up the brakes over the course of the first and second sectors, and they get them up to the correct working range, which I think is around about 600 or so degrees, 400, 600 degrees. But by the time they barrel down that straight for 2.3 kilometers at 200 miles an hour, the brakes cool down so much going into turn number 1. We see drivers snatching the brakes, locking up, going into there, and yeah, it makes it very tricky. So you get a load of, and then by that point you've you've gone massive onto the brakes into turn number 1. Once again, a pretty heavy braking zone into turn number 2, and you get to turn number 3 and your brakes are overheating. And yes, and that's why we've seen quite a few incidents at turn number 3, because the drivers aren't getting the braking performance that they're expecting. Their front tires have also been slightly overheated because they've had a whole load of load through them, going through them in turn number 1 and 2. The drivers braking extremely late, extracting the maximum amount of grip through there, and then by the time they get to turn number 3, their brakes are overheating, their tires are overheating. Yeah. But seems like most drivers have learned from the mistakes of other drivers, and are not making that mistake again. So, and yeah, the drivers are also going down the escape road this time rather than trying to make the corner. They've seen the implications of what happens when you get it wrong, and the drivers have decided, okay, we're going to go down the escape road rather than trying to make the corner. Okie dokie. Yeah, I will change the sub goal. I think I'll just change it for the sprint race, in fact. But yeah, so here we go then. Sergio Perez, fastest through the middle sector, 0.4 faster than Verstappen through the middle sector. That's extremely quick there from the Mexican driver. And here he comes now towards the start finish line with DRS open. Comes across the line of 1:41.8. That is extremely quick there from Sergio Perez, 0.4 faster than Verstappen's previous attempt. Verstappen improves on his previous attempt, but he is still nowhere near Sergio Perez, 0.3 behind him. Alex Albon crosses the line into 4th place. Hamilton crosses the line into 3rd. Russell into 4th. And yeah, Lando Norris, unfortunately, in the pits because he has not got a fresh set of soft tyres. All right, look at this. Leclerc fastest through the middle sector now. Alonso crosses the line into 7th. Stroll crosses the line into 6th. It looks like Stroll got a bit of a toe off Fernando Alonso. But I guess that's how it works at Aston Martin. You one lap you get given a toe, the other lap you have to give a toe. But here comes now Charles Leclerc, purple in the middle sector, green in the 3rd sector, and is provisionally in 1st position, 0.2 ahead of Sergio Perez. Carlos Sainz crossed the line, 0.6 now is the gap between the two Ferrari drivers. Carlos Sainz not having a great day out here. Of course, we know Leclerc is absolutely fantastic at the circuit. The amount of commitment he has, how late he brakes is brilliant. And And yeah, the gap is just getting bigger and bigger. Yesterday it was 4 tenths between the two Ferrari drivers. Now it's 6 tenths. And yeah. All right, so we have basically in qualifying, we have the two Ferraris, the two Red Bulls, the two Mercedes, the two Aston Martins, and then one Williams and one McLaren. So yeah, pretty team dominant. Yeah. The cars have been in park firming last night. Yeah, so the Mercedes haven't changed their car. The only thing you're allowed to change is your front wing angle, and your, I think it's your like differential settings basically. Those are two things you're allowed to change between parc fermé and yeah, in parc fermé basically. And we've seen maybe they have changed them, we don't really know. It's all up to the teams really. Also, I would just like to point out the gap between Perez and Verstappen came over the radio and said, I lost the rear in the middle sector. So yeah, I mean, watching the replay now, it's kind of not, it wasn't a perfect lap from him. He got a bit of oversteer coming out of turn number 2. That obviously heated up the tires a bit more than expected, and then as you go through the middle sector, your rear tires get put under a lot of load because you're decelerating, accelerating, and all of that accelerating heats up your rear tires, and of course we see a whole bunch of overheating. So yeah, that's what's happening there. Also, guys, we have now got the final runs of Q3 starting with 1 minute left on the clock. We've got Sergio Perez leading the way. Behind him is Hamilton, then Albon, then Alonso, then Russell, then Stroll. I don't know why they're just magically appearing at turn number 16. The GPS might be slightly broken. But yeah, the times set by Mercedes are definitely improving. I think, well, Hamilton was up in 5th place yesterday as well. It was just Russell. Russell got really unlucky at Q2, and he was like 4 milliseconds slower than Hamilton. Hamilton made it through into Q3, and Russell didn't. Like, Hamilton was 10th and Russell was 11th. Otherwise, I think Russell also would have matched Hamilton, but it was just very, very close at the end of Q2. So that's what happened there. But everyone on their final flying laps now. Perez leads the way. Carlos Sainz right at the back of the pack. So here we go then. Sergio Perez currently in 2nd position, and he does not improve through the first sector. That is not great. Not a great start for him. Hamilton green through the first sector. So is Russell, and so is Alex Albon. All right then. So let's see. Verstappen now coming up to the first sector line. What can he do? He doesn't improve either. Verstappen not improving. Looks like none of the top 4 have improved as of yet. Leclerc crosses the line for the first sector. He doesn't improve in the first sector. Everyone is going slightly slower in the first sector than expected. Maybe they're backing off slightly in the first sector to attack in the middle sector. Oh no, Leclerc has stopped at turn number 5. Leclerc, we have a yellow flag as well. The only driver that he is affecting is Carlos Sainz, really. But yeah, Leclerc, that's his lap over. He messed up at turn number 5. Right, Perez crosses the line. He improves, not faster than Leclerc though. Hamilton crosses the line. He improves but stays in 5th position. Fernando Alonso crosses the line, stays in 8th. We have let's see, what else do we have? Who else crossed the line? Russell crossed the line, puts himself up into 4th position. We got Stroll next up now. He crossed the line, stays in 9th, and now it's just Max Verstappen. It's down to him. Can he improve? Can he beat his teammates' time? Going through now into Q3. Here he comes, crosses the line, and no, he does not. Max Verstappen does not beat Carlos Sainz, does not beat Sergio Perez's time. So once again, it is Charles Leclerc in 1st place, with the Red Bulls trailing him in 2nd and 3rd. We've got Carlos Sainz's lap got screwed over because Leclerc made a mistake, and Leclerc got screwed over because he made a mistake. So as long as Leclerc can fix whatever mistake they made is fixable by the time the sprint race starts, Ferrari should be good to go. All right then. Welky, as your predictions, pretty close. I mean, Perez and Verstappen swapped around, and then Albon It's kind of nowhere to be seen really. Albon in 7th place. I mean, nevertheless, in a Williams, that is a great effort there from Alex Albon, coming ahead of both Aston Martins. Yeah, we saw Aston Martin were brilliant at the start of the season, but Mercedes brought a little bit of an upgrade package, kind of understood their car a little bit, and here they are now faster than Aston Martin in qualifying. Do Aston still have DRS issues? I'm not sure of that. I will double check. But yeah, their pace seems kind of odd. They're like half a second behind the Mercedes, which is rather strange. Like, we wouldn't have expected that so far. No, I don't think so. I haven't seen anything about Aston Martin's DRS issues, so I would suspect they fixed them. But yeah, what happened to Leclerc? Let's see. Oh, he just went straight on into the barrier. I think all he did was damage his front wing, so he should be fine. But yeah, at turn number 5, just locked the brakes straight into the barrier. Everything in his car seems to be fine. All they need to do is replace the nose cone. But he has still got 1st place. So nevertheless, that is a great job there from Lewis Hamilton. From Lewis Hamilton? What? From Charles Leclerc? I don't know, honestly. What am I? I am streaming the sprint. I can't see the timing notification option for it. No, I am streaming the sprint. I think when I end this stream, it'll take you over there. But yeah, guys, it has been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I will see you in like 4 or 5 hours. And that's when I'll be commentating the sprint race. Yeah, 3 hours 30. Not too long. Not too long indeed. And I'll see you there. So when I end this stream, it will take you over to the race, the sprint race stream. Be sure to hit the like button on that, because it just helps the YouTube algorithm if you do it before the stream starts. And yeah, make sure to press the reminder and all of that stuff. But I'll see you in a couple hours. Cheers, fellas.